what kind of stuff are the Latin Kings responsible for?
Yeah. I ain't gonna go that deep into it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. He still got the code. He still got the code. I like it.
I didn't even know. My dad just pops up on visit like, hey, this is your son.
Oof.
Oh, bro.
Wow.
You know, so then, and basically in that initiation, they just trying to see, are you about it? Like, can you withstand this type of a beat? And I want to be a gangster. And I'm thinking like, you know, this is the aim. This is the music I'm listening to. This is the culture that's shaping me, right? My girl's trying to get me to go to church. Now my lawyer's telling me to go to church. Grandma been telling me, but I need to go to church, right?
When you are in prison, is that when the faith journey starts?
I'm holding my little girl, but I'm fully restrained. Belt, handcuffs, shackles. And as I'm holding her,
Ruslan.
Here with a new friend, Andy Periano Rebirth. Did I say it right?
You almost got it.
Man, you have a crazy story. I saw a bit of it on another YouTube channel. Of course, the Latin Kings are infamous with online culture and all offline culture.
Right.
And you were in that world, deep in that world, and turned it all around. So folks who've never heard of you, give us a little bit of your background.
Cool. Woo. How far are we going back?
Let's go back.
Back? Nah, you know, I caught my first felony when I was like 12 years old.
Hold on. I got arrested at 11 years old. You caught a felony?
Yeah, 12 years old.
What was the felony?
Now, it was stealing clothes, but it was over $100. So then they made it a felony. I don't know if you remember Jabot jeans. They was fly out here too? Okay, because where I'm from, if you had some Jabots, so we were stealing Jabots and we were selling it on the street.
Okay.
And then we got jammed up for that. And then my partner, actually, he got caught because we was already got away. We was getting away with it. He got caught. He ended up taking his charge and later on, he ended up overdosing way later. But that was 12 years old. And 13, 14, possession of marijuana. Then they kicked my mom's door in, possession of a stolen weapon. Then 14, 15, I got jumped in the Latin Kings. You know, 14, 15, I be saying, you know, I let 5 grown men jump me to be their friend. Like, if you really want to keep it real, like, that's exactly what it was. And
what made you want to join the Latin Kings?
And I'm gonna tell you, because really, movies like American Me, movies like Blood In, Blood Out, you know what I'm saying? Like, looking at that and growing up with Scarface and all of that, and I'm thinking my culture, because I grew up around mostly African American people, and then there's like Latin America, these all Latin dudes, and I'm thinking it's like American Me, like, is, you know, and the guy, well, a door was open with me with them, and I'm like, man, I'm thinking I'm gonna be a part of something great, because I'm hearing the Latin Kings, largest Latin street gang in the nation, you know, so really wanting to be down and just gravitating to what I'm seeing in Hollywood and all of that, because then I'm thinking like, this is what's up, this is what I want to be.
So was it like a neighborhood thing? You guys were in the same proximity, or was it more of like just random grown men around the way that want to?
Yeah, it was proximity, because I got jumped in the New Orleans chapter.
Okay.
And then they had a Kenner chapter. I'm from the West Bank, right? So that's basically like 15 minutes away. So my cousin was a Latin King because he lived in that section in Mid-City in New Orleans. And then another guy just got out of LTI that knew my other cousin. So he was with us, and we getting in fights, just wilding, like not even with a gang, you know? So then when he seen that, he said, man, look, you want to be a part of this? Like, I could get you in. I'm in, you know, and he had a rank. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it, you know? So
how old were you when you?
I was 14, 15 years old.
And what was that like? How old were the dudes that jumped you in?
They was like 20-something and like their late teens, early 20s.
What was that like? What's the process of getting jumped in like?
So it's 5 people, you know, they come and they give you 3 minutes, right? And this is like the self-righteousness, because they don't stomp you out. So like if you fall down, they let you get back up, you know? So then, and basically in that initiation, they just trying to see, are you about it? Like, can you withstand this type of a beating? Like, are you going to just ball up? You know, if you ball up, you're not ready, you know? So as they started the time, we fighting, and I end up getting my back against the wall, and I'm hitting it. And every time I went down, couple times they hit me when I was down, but they would stop it, and then we do it again. But I remember like thinking like, I remember while we fighting and they jumping me, I'm like, man, what's the time? What's the time? Like, bro, that must have been the longest 3 minutes of my life. I felt like they was giving me more time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the time? And it's like, you got it. And then I hit the 3 minutes and they all dap me off with the crown. And they do this thing when they dap you off with the crown and they touch the points, they bring it to the heart and they throw a pitchfork down and they say, amor de rey. And that means love from the king, king love. But it's like, it's just so many biblical parallels. Like the initiation, like when you get jumped in, they call it the baptism, And then the meetings that we had, they call it church.
Wow.
So it's just, and then just thinking like I grew up Catholic, and there's a lot of Catholicism in the roots of it. Like they got a constitution, right? So like bylaws. And it's a lot of biblical principles in there, but there's a lot of things, it's like that little leaven, right? Like you ain't gonna believe it if it's all lie, but there was a lot of truth in it, but it was just a mess, man. Because then when you got to the root of it, a lot of people wasn't even going by that constitution.
So they had their own rules, but many people weren't even following the rules.
Like you're not supposed to do drugs, not supposed to sell drugs. You're not supposed to like be with another brother's woman. So it's all of these things that seem honorable, right? And then when you look at the point, love, honor, respect. You know what I'm saying? So it's these things that you think like there's nothing wrong with that. Like this is something great. But then like when you really get into it, like when they would call church and have meetings, they would pass the hat around, like kind of like passing a basket. And that money's supposed to go to other brothers that was incarcerated and just help other people in the neighborhood and things to that nature. But like I said, I let 5 grown men jump me to be their friend. What would I have to do to keep that friendship, right? Well, that led to a 1st-degree attempted murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of aggravated criminal damage, and it was gang-related. And probably a couple of months before that, I had got jammed up with a 1st-degree robbery. So then I was on house arrest. Then I got off of house arrest. So I was still on paper, on juvenile, when I caught the attempt murder, and they charged me as an adult.
And this is all as you're a teenager?
This is all as a teenager.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a documentary in like the mid-2000s about the Latin Kings, and they had this very charismatic leader that was almost he was almost like a pastor. He's like a cult leader.
Yeah.
It was a trip. Was that King Love? And he ended up King Blood. Okay. Yeah. And then he was seemingly trying to be positive and turn it around, but they were making it seem like they were going after him and persecuting him. How connected were you to the national chapter, and like how was the infrastructure? And are you familiar with what I'm describing here?
Yeah. So, all right. So the guy that brought it down to New Orleans, he come from Chicago. That's what they consider the motherland where it started. So he came from Chicago and opened up the book, had permission from them to start the chapter. So then, but see, the thing about New Orleans, gangs never really survived in New Orleans. Like there's a heavy spirit of division. But when you go back to the roots of it, like whenever they would have the slave trade, that's where they would bring, right there where Jackson Square is at, and they would behead the fathers. They would divide the families right there. That's a lot of the second line because it was a port where they would meet their families that they never met before, right? So when this would come, so there's a heavy spirit of division. So even the Latin Kings, the New Orleans chapter started beefing with the Kenner chapter and the Metairie chapter, but we're all supposed to be together. You know what I'm saying? So the Constitution all come from that. But then by the time it got here, I can't attest to how they was running it in New York and in Chicago because that was the main chapters, right? But I just know what was going on in New Orleans. And it wasn't in direct alignment with what I perceived it to be.
So from your standpoint, you're a teenager, you're impressionable. You think you're a part of this, honorable brotherhood that's going to give you order and structure, which young men desire.
Right.
I think young men need order, need structure, need purpose. And then as you get deeper into it, you start seeing that, these folks aren't even congruent to the values they claim to have. When did that light bulb go off for you?
But I can't leave out, it was also pride.
Okay.
That had me wanting to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be a gangster, and I'm thinking like, this is what you like. This is the aim. This is the music I'm listening to. This is the culture that's shaping me, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to do everything. These rappers, and I want to be better than them. I want to do this, right? And then even seeing that it wasn't like they said it was, but when in all actuality, I really wanted to do though. I really wanted to do drugs and sell drugs. But if I'm gonna be with this and this is what we're gonna do, but when I get in and see they're doing other things too, and I'm like, because that's how I'm making money, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, this is what's up. I'm looking past what even the Constitution goes, and I guess in my immature mind, I'm not looking at. They're not holding fast to these values. So what else is a lie? You see what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about that now. I never looked at it that deep when I'm in it. It's almost like a pig not knowing it's dirty. You know what I'm saying?
And what kind of activities were the Latin Kings involved with, and what how organized were they? Are they selling? You said you're not supposed to sell drugs,
Right.
but it seems like some people were.
Yeah.
Are they as like sophisticated as the mafia? Are they out here running these rackets with oil and gas? Like the mob seem crazy, or is it like in between petty street crime? Like what kind of stuff are the Latin Kings responsible for?
Yeah. No, it was pretty. It was pretty structured. It was pretty structured.
Okay, and so
I ain't gonna go that deep into it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. He still got the code. He still got the code. I like it.
It ain't
I like.
the
He said,
code.
I'm not finna.
I don't want to get indicted after this show. You
Fair
know
enough.
Like,
Fair enough. So, as you go through this journey, you end up in prison at some point.
Yeah.
And was you say that was a correlation of the gang life, or was it just the correlation of just wanting to wild out?
Yeah. It was all hand in hand with that life.
Okay.
Right? And then it was like when the 16, when they charged me as an adult, I remember, being in there and I'm on the 3rd floor, like I'm on a project pod. Like they're announcing when I go in, y'all got a Latin King in here. So it was a lot, right? But my grandma, mi abuelita, she always sowed seed of Jesus. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is King.
Before or after you go to prison?
This is before. This is me growing up. Like I remember her dragging me to church. Like she eat, sleep, bleed, breathe the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like when we were sick, she would lay hands on us. And she always told me there's power in the name of Jesus Christ. And she would plead the blood over me, like the old sayings. Plead the blood over him from the head to toe. And, so whenever I went in there at 16, I remember I'm 17. I made my 17th birthday. Charged me as an adult. But I remember when the lights would go out, I'd find myself at the cell doors reading the Bible off of the light from the hallway. And I read the whole Bible when I was in there at 17 years old.
Wow.
From Genesis to Revelation. I'm not going to say I attained all of the, but I knew enough to know that there's power in this book. And this is the only thing that's going to get me out of here.
You knew that at 17?
I knew that at 17. Because of what my grandma instilled in me, the seeds that she sowed in me. Like I always say, you seen that movie War Room?
I don't think I've seen it.
You never seen War Room? They were fire movie, but they owe my grandma royalties, you heard me? Because they had an old lady in there, and she had a war room with scriptures, and she'd cry out to the Lord. Like, this was my grandma, you know what I'm saying? But so I'm reading it, and I read the whole thing, and I'm talking about I end up getting a bond reduction. So after 3 months, I get a bond reduction, I get out. When I get out, I go to my juvenile probation officer, Ms. Williams. God bless Ms. Williams. So I had favor with her. So she let me finish all of my community service. So once I finished all my community service, she was able to terminate me. Now, they revoked my bond because I had a crown medallion, and that was part of the stipulation. I couldn't have any gang ties. They revoked my bond, but my community service is done. So Ms. Williams terminates my juvenile PO and hands me over to the adult system, which helped me because then I was a first offender. So by me being a first offender, I could get minimum sentences, right? Because before I would have had to do the adult time, and then I would have to do the juvenile time because I was still young enough to go to LTI because juvenile life is till 21, So all of that worked in my favor, and I got I got credit for time served after serving like a little over a year with a 5-year suspended sentence.
So this is when you're a teenager,
17,
for the
attempted murder.
The attempted murder.
Yeah.
And so, how is the relationship with the gang while you're away? Are they taking care of you? What is the, I'm assuming you're moving up the ranks. Is there a hierarchy where there's put money on your books? What was it like being in?
There's definitely a hierarchy because everything is order. Like they do have order and structure. You know what I'm saying? But see, in this situation, like. That's when I started seeing like things like as far as the people that I was in my circle, like it just wasn't lining up, you know. So I always had my partners like from my neighborhood, like, you know, like just the people I grew up with. Two of them got murdered. The other two overdosed. Like this was like my core friends that I grew up with. Like they're not here. But then the other dudes that took me in, because when I was 16, 15, I got kicked out and I was living with them. These all street dudes, dope boys, right? They're not in the gang. They was really like something like, why you in the gang? Like, you know, we get money, we doing this and everything that the streets entail, right? So then when I got home, I more roll with them. So when I rolled with them, I really wasn't feeling the Kings no more because I felt like they ain't hold it down the way I would feel like you should have held it down.
While you were locked down?
While I was locked down and why I was locked down. Like the whole thing. So
why were you locked? Why is that why I was locked down significant in the story?
Because it was a part of something that was gang activity. You know what I'm saying? So this
and you feel like because you put in work for the gang,
there was
they
work that needed to be put in to help like the whole thing go away in essence, right? And just, you know, in my immature mind, this is what I'm in, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I wasn't feeling none of that.
So you not really being into that, did that come with consequences from the gang?
So now, like I told you, I'm running with some real street dudes, right? So, and they was getting money. And you know, so more money we getting, like, we could go to war, like like I ain't even tripping about y'all. So I ended up getting locked back up, right? So when I got locked back up, I got locked back up 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, got home 26, 27, got locked back up 28, 29, got out 30. But in the midst of that, I was taken, because the Kings and the Bloods ride under the 5, it's the People's Nation. So I was locked up with other Bloods. So then we ended up taking the Constitution and implementing these things and starting the OKBN, Outlaw King Blood Nation, where we joined the Kings with the Bloods and ran the entire compound. So then when I took it to the streets, like the dude that brought the flag, I remember seeing him and he's like, man, who gave you the authority to open that book? I was like, I gave myself the authority to open that book. Because I give you, pride comes before I'm ready, like, what do y'all want to do? Because we was really getting money. I was dealing with the cartel in Houston, so it's like that arrogance. That's why I know God had a hedge of protection on me, because it ain't like I'm no super gangster. It's that God, like, you know, he's the author and finisher of our faith. He's seen the end from the beginning. So that I was ready to, like, you know, that's a big part of my story, because I used to do the rap too. I used to rap for the world, open up for Kevin Gates, open up for VH1 Love and Hip Hop. But that was us taking the money, putting the money into the music and a way of washing the money. You know, so I really was ready to, like, whatever they want to do, you know?
And so did that situation defuse? Did that culminate to something more serious? Or did you just kind of able to just pivot over into more of the running with the dope boys activities? Yeah,
well, that's what I just really wasn't even worried about them. And a lot of, like I told you, gang culture really didn't live in the city. So when the Kenner and the Meta, when they started beefing with each other, and then people started going to jail, and they did a sweep, and a lot of people got deported, so they wasn't as strong as they was. So that's why, I'm like, what y'all going to do? You know what I'm saying? And that's just a part of pride, arrogance, the enemy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I really this is going into the rest of the testimony, because I end up, when I got saved and everything, I met with the two dudes that had rank and all of that. You know, there is consequences to everything, but the Bible says when a man's ways is pleasing to the Lord, he'll make even his enemies at peace with him.
So when you are in prison, is that when the faith journey starts?
So no.
Okay.
No.
When does the faith aspect hit you? You said you read the Bible.
Right. I read the whole Bible the first time. So when I went upstate to prison, I was 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And I was just doing everything. Like, I felt like my rationale at the time was, why I'm going to do good in jail? I should have did that on the street. So now I'm not going to do good in here, because if I was going to be good, I should have did that on the street. So I'm going to be even worse. And then so I was, you know, going back and forth to the whole, I did 23 months in solitary confinement. Like,
what was that like?
Like locking yourself in the bathroom for 23 months straight, right? Then I hear the dude 2 cells down from me hung himself. And you could hear him changing his mind, because it sounded like somebody was fighting in the cell, and we're in one man's cell because we're on maximum security. So he was trying to get his feet back up on the desk to breathe, but it sounded like somebody fighting in there for a minute. Then it got quiet. Then when the man came down, he just runs off the tier. Then he comes back, paramedics, everything. He was out of here, and he only had 1 year. He only had 1 more year to go home. You know, so
solitary confinement kind of breaks people like that.
Yeah, because it's like you can't see nobody, you can hear them. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you're just locked in there. You're locked in there. The only time you get out is to shower for 10 minutes, but you're fully restrained. They bring you down to another cage, which is the shower. They close that and they take the cuffs off, but you're still shackled.
Why did you go into solitary confinement for that long?
Well, because I got inciting a riot in Allen. So then when I got shipped on inciting a riot, that was a whole thing. Whenever I get to the new prison, they waiting for me at the door. Anna Pellerano, 39736, put your hands behind your back. So I'm going in there, and it's like every prison feels like when you get shipped on disciplinary, they feel like you think you bad. That prison couldn't deal with you, but we're going to break you over here. You know, and then it's just the arrogance, like the rebelliousness, you know, so just not like having an attitude, trying to portray this image, like being a slave to your own name. So it just got me in worse trouble to where I'm getting gassed down. So you get a rule infraction. You mess up, you go to the working cell block. When you mess up in the working cell block, then you go to extended lockdown, which they label your maximum security prisoner. So you like a threat to security. So every time you leave that cell, you have to be fully restrained. And
go ahead.
Well, so when they bring you on a yard, if they bring you on a yard, it's just like it's like almost like a dog kennel. The sun's out, you know, but you're fully restrained in a cage, but you get to walk a little more. So and that's if they bring you out. But one thing that really like God used that really saved me, it was reading, because I was never a reader, but they had this library cart that would come through every Saturday morning. So then I just started you get 3 books. But they never reloaded the cart. So after you read, like, man, I'm talking about, I read every book on the cart. I felt like I was going to the movies. Like, I couldn't wait for that set, and I would just engulf myself in reading and tell my dudes down the tier, like, if y'all not reading, just get the books and pass them down to me, you know? So, I'm talking about, I'm reading. First, I started with the suspense novels like Sidney Sheldon, and then it started with the horror novels. Then I went, because I'm reading the whole cart. Now I'm on the prairie with Louis Lamar reading cowboy books because he's just taking me out of here. Then I'm talking about, I'm even reading romance novels because I just need to get something to outlet. Yeah. But then it's like I'm taking words that I don't know. I'm writing them down, and I'm getting the definition of those words. Then I'm getting different books. I had The Art of War. I had the Machiavelli, I had Sun Tzu, I had everything you could think of. I had a Quran, I had Buddhism, and I had the Bible. And I read everything except the Bible. So I'm filling myself with this full knowledge puffing up, right? And it's like thinking I'm about to start this empire when I hit the street. And in the process of that, I'll never forget, man, because there's no such thing as coincidence. I go on visit. And when I go on visit, I'm non-contact because I'm on extended lockdown. But this day, the visiting shed, when you in extended lockdown, was in cell block A, which is not their main compound, right? So it was just like a desk with a partition. You know how like coming up when you had tests, like you could easily look over?
Right.
And that's how the non-contact visit was. So I'm fully restrained, belt, handcuffs, shackles. And then the officer, me and him was cool because he had a bet on who would get in a fight with this dude when he hit the compound. And I was the working cell block, and I was the one, me and him, like, boom. But anyway, so me and him was cool, and he let me hold my little girl. He was like, man, let him hold this little girl. So I'm holding my little girl, but I'm fully restrained. Belt, handcuffs, shackles. And as I'm holding her, she was like 2 years old when I first got locked up. And at this point in time, she was about 6 years old. So she was like, and we were having a good visit, smiling, laughing. She was like, Daddy, what this is? And she grabs my handcuffs. I'm like, it was brand new, so I'm doing like that. Like, oh, baby, that's my bracelets. You don't see Daddy shining over here? She's looking. She's like, well, what this is? And then she grabs my shackles. And I'm sitting down, so I'm making them jump like a jump rope. I said, oh, that's my jump rope. She looks. She said, you look stuck.
Oof.
You look stuck. So then she asks me again, Daddy, what this is? And I said, handcuffs. She said, Daddy, what this is? And she grabs my shot. I said, shackles. And she says, why they got you like that, Daddy? I said, because Daddy was being bad and this is Daddy's punishment. She's like, well, promise me you're not going to be bad anymore. Promise me you're not going to be bad anymore because I need you home with me, Daddy. I need you home with me, Daddy. I'm looking at my beautiful little girl and she's like pleading, like not understanding, like thinking it's just Daddy. Like, just promise me you're not going to be bad no more so you could come home because I need you home. And then she starts asking me, because she's mixed. So she's like, Daddy, what colors Mom? Daddy, what color are you? And then she say, well, so Daddy, what color am I? Like, what does that make me? And I was like, man, I'm talking about it's busting me up. But I can't cry because there's other people on visit. Remember, I got to portray this image. I got to live up to this image. I'm a slave to my own name. But when I got in that cell, because I'm in a one-man cell, when I got in that cell that night, I got on my knees and I cried out to the Lord. And it just like, it breaks me because it's like my daughter didn't know her identity because her father wasn't in her life. And it really like fuels what I do now because I'm like, there's a whole world that don't know their identity because they're not in their father's life, right? Because that's who gives us identity. But to go a step further, the rate of men being incarcerated and men just not being in the children's lives, you got a generation that's fatherless, and we wondering why we seeing what's going on, and that's why the accountability is on us as the church, because we're the light of the world, a city on the hill that cannot be hidden. So what we look like arguing with the darkness when darkness ain't even a thing, it's the absence of light. So we can't get mad at the dark. The dark is dark. We got to shine the light to overtake the dark.
Come on.
And bro, like I prayed that night and I cried out to the Lord, and I wish I could say I got it all together then, right? Because I went home like a dog returning back to its vomit. And like I told you, now I want to start an empire. Now the people that, when I left them, they're on a whole nother level. So now they're on a whole nother level. I come home, I'm getting $5,000 cash, 10 pounds of weed, half a brick of raw cocaine, an Acura TL. So this is like keeping me buying. Like you talked about the gang, like the Latin Kings, but it was like my street dudes that kept it 100. Like they were sending my mama money. They were sending me money. When I discharged, they had my clothes in the mailroom, Gucci hat, Gucci belt, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's what was keeping me, because it, on the standard of the world, it was like they was keeping it real. So it was harder to break that tie because I felt like I owed them, like they was real. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I did a whole series called Frenemies, because people can only keep it as real as they know to keep it. If they're not kingdom-minded, their real is not real because ain't nothing realer than Jesus. We know that, you know, bless God. You heard me?
Amen. So you had that moment with your daughter. That's when you cried out to the Lord. You had already read the Bible at that point, but you're also reading other stuff. You get out, you get home, and how long do you continue on in the street activities?
So then when I get out,
and this is how old are you around this time too?
At this time I got out, I was at 26.
Okay. I
was 26. The first time I got out was after that thing, and that's when I got into the heroin. I'm shooting heroin. I'm living by the Callio Project. I OD. They throw my body in the hallway. Nobody called an ambulance.
Jeez.
So then I go back to jail, and then I get out, and I'm my people on a whole nother level. So we doing this. We started the record label. We trying to just wash the money. We doing all of this foolishness, and it's just, I'm a mess, right? I'm all over the place. We dealing with the cartel, but then I got a habit that nobody really knows. With the heroin. I'm shooting heroin, but I'm shooting coke right behind it. So you're not gonna catch me ducking down. And nobody really knew except my homeboy that I had living with me that was making the runs for me. You know, he was getting loaded too. But nobody else knew, right? And it's just like I remember my grandma, but the same grandma, right? She tells me, she said, Andy, you're gonna be all right. I was like, what you mean, abuela? She's like, I had a vision. I was like, what was the vision? She was like, no, God's going to show you in his time. Like, you know, I was like, abuela, you need to tell me what you saw because I don't see nothing. Like, I'm a mess right now. And she's like, siéntate aquí. Sit down right here. And, you know, when grandma say sit down, you sit down.
It's the same grandma that's sending you Bible verses and encouraging you. Wow.
Right. When she would come visit me, it was like Bible study. You know what I'm saying? So she said to me, sit down. So I sit down. She said, I was in church. I was praying. And you was on the pulpit preaching.
Wow.
I said, I felt bad for her. I felt like grandma fell asleep in church. Like she had to be daydreaming. Like, and she was so happy when she was telling me this, right? But I'm like, I felt bad. I'm like, because I'm like, preaching, I'm not even saved. Like I'm doing everything contrary to the word of God. But you saying you saw me preaching, and then I end up going back to prison.
Jeez.
So that whole thing, when I end up going back, like that was a whole, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that was a whole thing, right? But
so hold on, I do want to expand on, you mentioned you washing money through the music world. That's very prevalent in almost every like hip hop upstart, especially street hip hop stuff,
right,
is usually connected
yeah,
to that model of we're going to get street money and then we're going to wash it.
right.
How do you think that ends up impacting the actual music? Outside of like the really overt, like we just going to glorify stuff, right? But even, you know, other stuff that almost every pocket is connected to some degree of street activities
right,
in its funding, right?
Right.
It's well documented. What do you make of that from a music culture standpoint?
Well, it's just like what comes in a man will surely come out of him, right? So if this is what you're using to start that, this is what you indulge in, and this is your reality. So if this is your reality, what's going to come out? You know, so you're going to talk about those things you're doing, and then it's all rooted in darkness. So what are you building on, right? So I when you look at it, it's just complete darkness. More is going to lead to more darkness, you know? So doing that, and then it brings that arrogance, then that pride is spewing into the music, and then what you doing, impacting the generation, creating them to be prideful, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Lord. So the opposite's true. So disbelief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the world. So then you end up believing a lie that this is what life's about. Getting money, selling bricks, being the man. Only to realize when you start really getting there, the only reason you're trying to do something else because you realize this is not fulfilling me. You know, like I would have night when I make money and then like you know, having threes, like all the strippers would come to my house after, you know what I'm saying? But then so paranoid. Like here's something, having to jump up with the gun and go through the whole house, and then knowing even if I kill somebody behind protecting mine, I'm still going away for 15, 20 years because I'm a convicted felon. I'm not supposed to have a firearm. And then so you're thinking like, then you can't go straight home. You got to go around, make sure nobody's following you. Wicked flee when no one is chasing, right? So then there's no peace in it, and you don't know like, the feds coming tonight? Like, are the Jack boys coming out to kill somebody? Like, you know, like your time is so short, and that's no peace. That's not a way to live. That's anxiety, anxious, fear. You know what I'm saying? And then you cover it up with this pride. I'm not scared of nothing. I'm ready to, you know. And then you fall into that. But you really, I remember one time breaking down, like, and crying out. And I guess it's because that seed that was sowed into me. But I remember just driving, crying, talking to God. Doing everything contrary to the word of God, really not wanting to live like that, and like telling God, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't, like, help me. And it wasn't like, if you real, help me. It's like I knew he was real, but I just wasn't living for him, because as a young, when I started selling drugs and I started getting money, I stopped praying because I thought the devil was blessing me. So I thought if I pray, it's going to hinder this success. But then always my end goal was like, if I get to this level, then I'm gonna do everything legit, you know? And it's just thinking like, you know, if you know better, you'll do better. So coming up in environments like that, you thinking, all right, nobody graduated in my family. Like, this is the way out. You know, I'm gonna get this money, wash this money, and then start something legit, or make it pop in the rap game. And then, I'll be able to take care of all of my family and all that. And I won't have to do those things that I'm doing. But it's like the book of Haggai. It's like having holes in your pocket. Like you stop building the temple of God, and now you want to build your own temple. You want to build your own houses, and it brings destruction.
How many people actually make the money, and then reinvest it and pivot? How is that happen, or is it primarily death or prison?
Oh, that actually make that turnaround? Few. Few, because I know a lot of people that started things, but then they got popped by the feds, or then they got murdered. Like a lot of artists in New Orleans that got murdered, you know, that was still tied into that street activity, rapping about it, really living with, and then getting killed. But some of them had made a turn, and you know, but it's very, very, very few.
So the folks that do go into the music industry and build these imprint labels, they're the exception to the rule. They're not. That's not standard. As many people tell themselves, I'm gonna get this money, I'm gonna clean it, and I'm gonna go legit.
That's like a dominant. That's very extremely rare when you think about the multitude of people that's doing that. But they end up murdered. They end up in jail, RICO. You know, very, very few.
So the seed was planted by your grandmother. You're talking to her. She has this vision. You're still getting caught up. You go to jail after that again. And what was that? Was that the last time you went to prison?
That was the last time I went.
And what was
prison.
that? What was that over? And then how long? How many years total did you do?
8.5.
8.5 in one stint, or 8.5 spread out?
And like the whole time.
So that last one, what was different about that last stint?
No, it's that's when we started the OKBN, Outlaw King Blood Nation, and then I was like, I'm selling drugs in jail. I'll come home with more money than my people on a whole nother level. Like, so I still didn't get it. And it really breaks me because my grandma died when I was in prison that time. And I couldn't go to the funeral because I wouldn't tell the warden how we was getting the cell phones. So it's like, I kept it more real with this fake code. I kept it more real with these streets and with this image. Then when I couldn't even go to her funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, and then the following year my grandpa dies. Couldn't go to that funeral. And then I discharged, right? But I'm a mess. I'm back in the streets just doing even more. But where the shift comes, which is my wife right now, my girlfriend at the time, she's you know, blonde hair, green eyes, using her to move the money to Houston and get somebody else to bring the stuff back. So when that's happening, she gets pregnant. When she gets pregnant, she's like, look, you don't have to be with me, but I'm not killing this baby. Like, I'm having this baby, you know? So then I'm talking about, she was like, really like I drug her through the mud in that season. Cause then they had this other girl that was josing me. Like she was looking out for me when I was in prison, come meeting guards, like, you know, like come and drive all these out. So I felt like I had to be loyal to her because she was loyal to me. Even though I really didn't want to be with her, I wanted to be with my wife, but it was just this twisted loyalty, right? So then she gets pregnant, and then she's like at first she's running behind me, and then let her tell it, like she grew up Christian, like so she knew where the power was at. She was just backsliding, right? So she started praying, and she just handed me to the Lord, and she stopped calling me and everything. But I remember she called me, she said, I gotta go to the doctor's appointment for the baby on this day. If you want to come, this is the day. And that was it. Like text me that. So then
you're out at this point.
Yeah, I'm out, and I'm just doing foolishness.
Yeah.
So then I remember I had bonded out of jail. I went to jail for attachments or something minor, right? So then the girls got me out. Boom. So I hadn't brought me to go get my car yet, so I just go in the hotel with them. And there's two of them in there taking a shower, and I keep thinking about my girlfriend, which is my wife now, right? About the baby. I remember the baby, the doctor's appointments the next day, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. While the girls are in the shower, I call her and I said, "Look, you want me to go to the doctor with you?" She was like, "Yeah." I said, "Come get me," and I gave her the address, downtown New Orleans. I didn't even tell the girls I was leaving. While they're in the shower, I just left. And you know, like that was the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know this was her prayer and her handing me over to the Lord and all of that. So then we went together that night. I went to the doctor. I slept over there. Then the next day, the girl that was at my house set all my clothes on fire in the bathroom with the work. My dude, I told you, he was making runs for me. He calls me. He's like, "Bro, it's gonna set your stuff on fire." I said, "You let her?" He's like, "Man, I was sleeping. I wake up and smoke." I was like, "Oh, you put it out?" Because I'm thinking I still got, but that like broke the camel's back. Like, I have no loyalty for you now. Like, that's a wrap. I could have been back in prison for I don't know how long, you know. So then me and my girl been together ever since, but I still wasn't saved. You know what I'm saying? So then the feds grabbed my cousin in Houston. He gets busted with $290,000 cash, conspiracy to move 12 keys. And I remember getting a call, the feds grabbed him. And I'm thinking like, man, they coming, they about to come get me. And I had just shot some coke. And I remember taking to work and climbing up this tree in my backyard. Because I'm thinking, I don't want to flush it because this is all I got left. But I'm thinking if the dogs come, they can't smell all the way up that tree. And I had just shot some raw coke. Man, I got all the way up the tree. My partner's looking like, dude, what are you doing? I'm all the way up there, like, how am I gonna get down? You heard me, like, for real. I'm
He's tweaking for real.
Yeah, I'm like, how am I gonna, and I got like a quarter brick of coke with me to tie up there. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm not putting that up here. And I get down and then I end up stashing it somewhere else. But just showing, so now the feds watching my cousin, so I got to shut this down. It's only a miracle they didn't come get me. And then the other people that know the feds grab my pee, they don't want to mess with me either because they hot now. You know, so then, but then I really like her, but I'm knowing, like, I really love her, but the culture that we just come out of, it's like laying or marry one woman and all of this. So I'm working to I had all of this conflict, internal conflict, right? So then I was like, I want to be there for this kid. Because I was locked up for all of my other kids. You know what I'm saying? The first time I seen my oldest son, I couldn't even hold him because I was on extended lockdown. I didn't even know that he was born because I got locked up and then she got locked up. But she, you know, so I didn't even know. My dad just pops up on visit like, hey, this is your son. Oof. Oh, bro.
Wow.
I couldn't even hold him. I was on max again, you know. Yeah. So with her, I was like, I'm gonna be there for this. I'm gonna be there for this kid. So then, you know, things are shut down. I start working with my dad. I start trying to do right in my own might, in my own strength. Not with the Lord, just I'm headstrong. I stopped doing that. I'm stopped doing the heroin. I wanted Suboxone, but I'm still smoking. I'm still drinking, but I'm not doing these other things and I'm working. And then it was just this one day, me and her getting a big old fight. And then it's like, I felt so bad the next day and I just wanted to escape reality. So I went back to my coping mechanism. I'm like, I just want to get loaded. Like, I just want to get loaded, just not worry about nothing that's going on right now. And then I went, got loaded. I went, got the dope. And I went in the bathroom at the gas station, didn't want to bring it home. And I shot too much dope and I go out. The manager lost the key. They can't unlock the door. The dude I'm with, he can't kick the door in. It's a steel door, steel frame.
And you were clean at this point. And because you had been clean, you shot too much and overdosed.
Right.
Which is fairly common when people relapse. I know someone that similar situation. She had gotten clean, was walking with the Lord, doing really well, relapsed, had a bad day. You know, after months and months and months and months of sobriety, relapsed, overdosed, died.
Yeah.
You know, so it's fairly common with people who get clean if they relapse that they get overdosed.
Because they don't have that tolerance more that you think you do, you know, and man, I went out. He couldn't kick the door in. The manager lost the key. They called the police. They called the fire department. And, you know, coincidentally, no such thing as coincidence. The fire department was responding from another call. So when they get the call of me being overdosed in the bathroom, they're literally right there and got to pull right into the parking lot and had to cut through the door with the jaws of steel and then come in there and hit me with 2 shots of Narcan, you know. Then I come back. I don't really remember coming back in the bathroom.
Were you gone? Like you were flatlined?
I was out. I was out. So they hit me with 2 shots of Narcan to bring me back. So then when I come back, I don't even remember coming back through in there. I vaguely remember that in the ambulance. But when I really came back through, I'm in the hospital and I'm looking and the police is in front of me. So I'm playing possum, right? He don't know I'm up. So I'm looking, it's because I know I had more dope on me. And, you know, at this time, this will be my 3rd felony conviction. I'm a Code 6 career criminal. So I'm looking down. I'm not handcuffed. So I'm looking, I just got IVs hanging out my arm. I move my leg. I'm not shackled either. So I'm like, as soon as he moves, I'm out of here. So I wait. Somebody came in drunk, belligerent. The nurses was hollering. So the cop got up to go help them. As soon as he got up to go help them, I jump up. I ripped the IVs out my arm and I broke out running. I made it through one door. but they had another door that they have to buzz you out of. And they grab me right there. And I just think of the scriptures like God will open doors no man can shut, and shut doors no man can open, right? I thank God for that shut door. I needed to get caught, you know, so I go back to jail. I bond out the next day. So then when I go see my attorney, which is Frank DeSalvo, best attorney in the city, I have favor with him. He's been my lawyer. So when I go see him, now in the midst of this, I skipped this part. My son that we had, he was born with polycystic kidney disease. There's no cure for the disease. Life expectancy is 3 months. So he's not, the kidneys are not functioning. He's not producing urine. They have to induce the labor. There's no amniotic fluid. So then everybody, even the doctor said, y'all need to pray for urine. He needs to, if he don't urinate by this time, we're going to have this surgery. And you know, their body's not able to handle such an extensive procedure. Immune system's not being up to par. So her family's praying, my family's praying, everybody's praying. And next thing you know, he starts producing urine. And the doctor's saying, you need to switch your prayers because now he's peeing too much. So even he's acknowledging the prayers, right?
Wow.
So she started going back to church because she knew where the power was at, but she was going by herself. So I was still trying to do right in my own strength. And then when I OD and all this happens, she's already going to church, laying hands on me because at this time I'm still rapping. You know, I'm opening up for different people. I'm thinking that's legit. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm going to focus on this. So anyway, so then when this happens with my son being born with that disease, she ends up going to church by herself. Now I OD and I go see my lawyer. My lawyer's like, look, you need to go to NA. You need to go to AA. You need to go to AAA. He said you need to go to church. Yeah. You need to get involved with the church. He's like, you got to give me something to work with. Like on paper, you look like a monster. Like you got to give me something to work with. So I'm thinking, I'm like, my girl's trying to get me to go to church. Now my lawyer's telling me to go to church. Grandma been telling me, but I need to go to church, right? So I go to church, White Dove Fellowship on the West Bank of Manhattan under Pastor Mike Mealy. That's still my pastor, right? So we go to church. We sit at the last, as soon as we go like all the way in the back. So I'm going though, right? They do an altar call. My wife's elbowing me. You know, look, and they keep doing it. And now she's like elbowing me.
It's your time.
And I was like, stop. Stop. Because I felt like I was in here bad. I felt like I'm just in church because I'm trying to beat this charge. Right. So then I was like, and I knew enough to know, I felt like if I go up there playing, I might drop dead. You know, like I'm not playing with God like that, you know? So she's elbowing me. She's so mad. I was like, stop. So she stops. She's in church like this. As soon as we got in the car, dude, she let me have it. Why you ain't go up there? She said, God put that whole thing together for you. If anybody in that church needed it, it was you. And I was like, I'm not going to play with him like that, you know? So then she was already mad because I would smoke before I went into church. You know, oh, this comes from the earth. It's natural. This is how I chill. And now I'm like, dude, poison ivy comes from the earth. You going to roll that up and smoke it? Like, come on. But anyway, so I'm like, look, God, he can speak through all of that. If he's, you know, he's strong, like he's God. So I remember, bro, like, if it wasn't the next week, it was the week after that. Pastor Anthony Marquise, he's up there sharing his testimony. It wasn't just like mine, but it was close enough. I'm weeping back there. Nobody had to elbow me. I was up. By the time when they opened the altar, I went down there. I'm weeping. I gave my life to the Lord. This was 2012. I never looked back. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, I was a baby. Like, I stopped doing the main things that I knew I shouldn't do, you know, but then I was still doing things that I had no conviction of. I was still cursing. I was still smoking and I was still drinking, but I wasn't selling drugs. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? But it was that sanctification process, right? So now, like, I done got saved. I'm really trying to do this. I'm trying to shift my music now. You know, I had a situation with Manny Fresh. Like, he was on the chorus. It was a Manny beat when Manny was Manny. Q93, biggest station down there, was going to play it and all of that. But my partners that was investing into that with the label, one of them got murdered. The other one got grabbed. Like, friends was killing friends. All of this was going on in the midst of my transition, right? People getting killed, and there's like a lot guys leaning me more into this. So now I'm like, my eyes is looking like I don't really want none of this. So then one of the last things to go was the music, because I felt like that was still legal. I didn't think nothing was wrong with it. And I remember going to court, and I was still like getting a continuance, and it's looking like I'm gonna do time. And the guy was like, give me the music too. And I'm like, I seen Manny at the studio that day, and I told him, look, I got saved. I can't do that song. You know, he's like, oh, we're going to have to go through beats. And, you know, because we had a session where we was there for like 2 hours listening to beats and all of that. So it kind of like put me on the back burner, like once I said that. So, but I wasn't tripping, because I had an encounter I gave my life to Christ for real, right?
Yeah. So you tell Manny Fresh, for us who don't know Manny Fresh, I mean, legendary producer from New Orleans, responsible for the rise of the Hot Boys, which is where Lil Wayne came out of. And Cash Money Records, all of that. Crazy time, like late 90s, early 2000s. They were scorching hot. What was Manny Fresh's reaction when you told him you gave your life to Jesus?
He was like, yeah. He's like, oh. No, he was like, that's good. That's good. But I was like, I can't do that song, because he was on the chorus, right? I said, he was like, oh, well, we just gonna have to set up some time, like, to go over the beats again. So it's kind of like,
you didn't want to do a song with him because the song was not Christian, or because the content, or what was the conviction you had?
It was like a club band. It was what it was representing. And God just told me, give me the music too. So I'm like, I can't do that music. You know what I'm saying?
Would you think about doing music for Jesus at the time, or that wasn't even a thought yet?
I was thinking I was going to do positive music.
Okay.
Like a common sense.
Sure.
Like I'm thinking like I'm just not going to glorify that, but I didn't say I'm going to glorify you either. You know, like that came later. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going back and forth to court. So then my lawyer calls me. He's like, look, I got you 5 years. I said, okay. I was like, is that with the bill?
Wait, I'm confused. You overdosed. How was it? Because you had dope on you?
I had more dope on me.
Enough to get you another felony?
Yeah. Because heroin's a felony.
Any form of heroin is a felony.
And then I had more bags on me so they could do intent to distribute.
You know,
okay. And then because of my record, you know, now I'm a 3-time felon. You know, so now they could triple bill me. So the 5 wasn't gonna be 5. Because by the time you go to DOC and they calculate your time, they could triple bill you. So that 5 turns into 15 years when you get your rap sheet. So I'm like, man, I did 8.5. Now I'm thinking about my kids like I've never been there. I'm thinking about my son with the disease. Like I had a chance to be there. Right. And then I had just got my daughter was living with us too. You know, my oldest daughter, the one that was I was holding, asking about
How
the
old
cuffs.
was she at this point?
At that point, she was probably about 7, 8. No, she was like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old.
Okay.
So as this is happening, so I was like, I said, all right, well, I'm gonna take that time. So
you
then,
agreed to the 5.
I said, this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna go to court, because he's telling me, look, this is not gonna get better than this. And if you go to trial with your record, you could get 30, 40 years, you know. So, you know, you're still young, you could do that, you know. So I'm telling my wife, which is my girl at the time, I said, look, I'm gonna go take that time. I said, you don't have to wait for me, you know, but I'm still gonna serve God. Like I said, I'm just gonna have the best prison ministry they got. You know, like there's consequences to your sin. I'm still gonna serve God. And she was like, it's not over. I'm like, it's over. Like she's like, it's not over. So when we go to court, she's praying, my auntie's praying, my mom is praying, I'm praying, and we didn't strategically say we're gonna cover everything in prayer. We was just all praying over everything. We found this out later, right? So when I go in the court, my lawyer comes in the courtroom, he says, man, I'm gonna ask for one more continuance. You're gonna need the stars to align just right. Man, my God created the stars, you heard me?
Yeah.
So he goes in there, he gets one more continuance. And look, the DA was like, he don't want to take that with his record? We'll pick a jury today. He's like, just give me one more continuance. I'm looking at some things. He looks at the DA. He said, you know me. I'm not a liar. Your Honor, you know me. And he said, all right, Frank, we're going to give you one more continuance.
What is it? What is a continuance?
So now they don't sentence me that day. They don't convict me. They set it back and give you more time to find articles and, you know, plead the case before. Because if I don't take the plea that they're giving me, then we pick a jury and go to trial and he'll max you out. You know, so I remember we sitting in his office, criminal code and procedure out, got 3 different lawyers there, and they find a landmark case that said as long as the third felony is not a capital offense, he's eligible for a suspended sentence with the requirement he completes a 1-year in-house treatment program if the DA's in compliance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you got a good lawyer.
Yeah. He was the best, like in New Orleans, you know? So, man, so when we see that, now it's like, okay, I got a loophole. So I'm thinking suspended sentence. Now I'm saved. I'm just a baby. So I'm thinking like suspended sentence, I don't have to go away. Because I'm thinking my wife couldn't work because our son was hospitalized over 20-something times. So I'm thinking, man, if I go away, we're going to lose the house. We're going to lose the car. Like, you know, like how I'm going to provide for my family. Not knowing he's going to supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory, right? Not knowing that. So then I tried house arrest. It wouldn't accept me. Drug court wouldn't accept me. Boot camp wouldn't accept me. Like every door was getting closed, right? So I'm like, man, what I'm going to do? So we go to church. Now I go to church early. Before, I didn't like the worship. I thought it was corny, right? But now I couldn't wait to worship. Now I'm expecting to hear God before the sermon even goes forward. Like, you know, I'm just excited about this walk with the Lord. So I go early. So when I go early, they got a graduation going on. I'm like, what is this? So the graduation, they have a 1-year in-house treatment discipleship program at the church I was already going to.
Come on.
This is what I need, right? So then when I meet with them, they was like, look, this is like a discipleship program. Like we're not here, like we don't handle aggressive prisoners, like with aggravated charges and gangs. And he was like, look, I'm going to give you one chance. He's like, the Holy Spirit's telling me to give you a chance. He's like, I'm going to give you one chance. But if you come in here with that gang culture, if you come in here with that gang stuff, I'm kicking you out. I'm like, what gang? You heard me? I don't even know what you talk about. Like God gang, you dig? Yeah. I got sentenced to. So anyway, he lets me in a program. So they end up setting me back another time. And Frank was like, look, just go into the program. That way you're already in there by the time we go back to court. So then I go into the program. We come back to court.
Now, is this a program you got to go like live in like a sober living house or something like that?
No, it's at the church.
It's at the church.
And you got to live there for a year. You know what I'm saying? So when I get in there and we go to court, the DA is looking. So then that DA that was there, he said he was commanded to agree. He wasn't supposed to say that, right? Because the head DA in that parish told him to agree, and that was a stipulation under that article. But he said that to cover his tracks, because if I was to go home and kill somebody or get into something, they're gonna be like, how did he let this dude back on the streets with his jacket, with his record, you know? So he did it to cover his own tracks. So then Frank, he was like, look, Your Honor, if he spits on the sidewalk, throw the book at him. Matter of fact, I will never represent him again. He was like, give him a chance. He's a different man because he's been knowing me. Like he's watched me come in there arrogantly throwing money, different girls, you know, and then he's seen me, the whole transition and me being humble, you know, and my wife crying and hearing the thing with my son and all of that. So then they said, in my minutes, they said, look, we're going to sentence you to the program mandated by the court under the stipulation, if you get kicked out, if you decide to leave, we vacate the sentence on the initial charge and triple bill you. Oof. So that means you do this charge, you get kicked out. There's no more plea bargains. There's no, we to vacate this sentence and now you're going to trial and you lose in trial. You're going to lose in trial and you're going to get 30 to 40 years. I was like, but I needed that over my head. So I was like, man, God just parted the Red Sea of the Louisiana judicial system, you heard me? And landed me right in my promised land, which was the church. And man, that was in 2013. I graduated 2014. I got married the day I graduated in my mama's backyard. I'm like, look, we ain't giving the enemy no place, you heard me? We know what we're going to do. Look, we're going to get it right before the Lord. And man, I've never looked back.
Wow. Now, how is it with your kids that, you know, didn't have you around, and what is those relationships like now? Oh,
man, the young one, no, I mean, well, she's not young. The one that, when I share that testimony, you know, Father's Day just passed. Text me early in the month, love you, Dad. Check your email. Got me a little gift card for Nike. Like, she's coming to the beach with us for the 4th of July.
How old is she now?
She's 25. She'll be 25 in August. You know? Yeah.
Wow. And then your son...
My son, he'll be 24. And me and him, he'll pop up in church on his own. Like God convicted me with him because I was so much preaching at him. Because he was calling himself Lil Paco. They used to call me Paco in the streets. And that was my declaration. When I said Andy Rebirth, it was like, that was my declaration to the streets. Like, I'm born again. Paco's dead, right? So, but I kept preaching at him because I'm worried about his salvation, right? And God said, look, you're you're not his pastor.
Come on.
You're his dad.
Come on.
So love on him. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I do. I love on him. We had an awesome conversation. I'm talking about like 3 months ago. Well, he's bringing it up. Like, he went to my record release and he was right there. He said he was just popping through because he had other things to do, but he ended up staying the whole time at the front, the whole time receiving. So, man, God is working on him. He's like, Dad, I know Jesus is real. Like, don't worry about that. And he's like, and I'm not messing up. Like, I'm closer to Jesus than I've ever been. You know, I'm not where you're at. I said, you don't have to be where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You just got to keep walking, you know? Yeah. So me and him got an awesome relationship.
And no more health complications?
No. So my other two, he's 13 now. And then we had another baby. He's 6. Okay. And he was born with the same disease. Oof. Like, that rocked me because we stepped out in faith. Like, with Alex, we wasn't living right. We wasn't married. With Elijah, we already started the church and everything, stepping out in faith. And he was born with the same disease that's extremely rare. Like, the odds of that happening, it's like, I don't have it. Nobody in my family has it. She don't. But it's like a genetic mutation when we get together that forms this rare kidney disease. Almost like the devil trying to be like, y'all not good together. Look what happens when y'all come together. But then look what happens when we come together. Like the church that we lead and the people that are being discipled, you know. Yeah. So he's 13, though, and he still has the disease, but it's not affecting him in the manner that it should be, right? Actually, his liver is getting better, and with that disease, it gets worse. And God just giving me that little sweet confirmation. His liver was at like 8.9 something, going into cirrhosis of the liver, like the harder it gets. Then the following year, when we go back to do all of those extensive examinations, his liver was at 7.77. So not only did it get better because it got lower, the number, but then 777.
That's a trip.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's like a kiss from the Holy Spirit. Like, I got him. You know what I'm saying?
So tell me about the church. When did you start the church, and how's that going?
Oh yeah. So when I got out the program, that's when God revealed to me. I had went on a fast because I didn't know what I was gonna do when I got out, and I was like, I know I'm not selling drugs. Like, what, like, God, what do you want me to do? Like, I'll clean these toilets. Like, what shall you have me do? Went on a fast, and then I went late to the class because I was cutting the grass for another pastor. And then they was like, hey, you preaching Friday. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, brother Mike said you preaching Friday. You think it's easy to do? He said, you got all these questions. He said, you preaching. So I'm like, but don't know. I'm praying about what God's going to have me to do. So then that's when he said, all right, preaching. But then I called the dude. I only get one phone call. My girl's phone was dead. So I called this dude I hadn't talked to since I've been in there. He's like, say, bro, you never guess where I'm at. I'm like, where? He's like, we building a Christian studio. You ain't never thought about doing it for Jesus? I'm like, so now I'm back like, God, which one is it? You want me to preach or you want me to do Christian rap? And I'm thinking, I'm going to be like the first Christian. I didn't really know they had a whole genre of it. I thought I was going to be like the first gangster Christian rapper, not knowing they had a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, like almost like Elijah feeling like he's the only one. He's like, boy, you tripping. I got 4,000 haven't bowed the knee to Baal. So anyway, so when I get out, I started traveling with music ministry, like with Kingdom Music and Messiah Music. We opening up, we doing all these things. But then God called me to come back, step back from that and start One Accord. So I'm thinking it's just evangelism. Like when we first started, it was for evangelism, getting booked. I'm doing the music. But then he was like, he wanted me to start. He gave us supernatural. Like when we got this house, we didn't have to pay the down payment. We didn't have to pay the closing because they messed the paperwork up. It was a binding contract. So we get in this nice house and we didn't even pay down payment, no closing. We had supernatural debt cancellation, letter in the mail from a vehicle that was repossessed. This debt has been canceled. So like God opened his door. I'm looking at her I'm like, bro, like this God's house, right? She's like, yeah, why? What's she telling you? I said, he's telling me this is where we're going to start the church. Wow. And she was in agreement, not hear you. They still got people who want to kill me. I put my address on Facebook with the flyer. It said, yo, Church in Marrero. Remember Yo MTV Raps? I'm like, yo, church in Marrero, but kind of playing it like a double entendre, like it's your church, but it's your church. So we started in my living room with 5 people and went from 10, 50, I'm talking about quick. Within 7 months, we had like 45 people baptizing in the kiddie pool, like it, like Holy Spirit moving. So then after the 7 months, we ended up getting a storefront on the next street. Then 7 months later, we had 2 storefronts on the next street, one for the kids ministry, one for the sanctuary. Then a year after that, we ended up getting 1.4 acres, 6,000 square foot building. We just expanded that 500 more square feet for the children's ministry. And then we just got this kids center in Algiers, which is another 7,000 square foot building with this shout out to For Good Community. Like we do the thing with Amazon. We're able to bless people all over. We pull up neighborhood to neighborhood with a bus and just bless people. So right now, the next like vision, part of the vision that God's given me is to start a rebirth recovery center in the back, because we got the 1.4 acres and that program that I was in, they no longer have it, you know. So I really feel like God wants me to multiply the same thing that was done in my life into other men.
Come full circle with the joint. Tell me the stuff you do with Amazon is really interesting. Amazon's given you a lot of favor and has allowed you to be a blessing to a lot of people. That's a very interesting relationship.
Yeah. No, that was nothing but God, man. So these they called us and they deal with a lot of influencers and stuff like that. And they had a bus with a football player, but they have like a track on it, and it was like it just wasn't like it didn't exceed the potential that they felt like they invested in it for. So then somebody was telling them about me, and then they sent them the podcast that we was on that did like some crazy numbers, like over 1 million views. So then they contact me and it was like, look, we got this bus. It's gutted out. It only got 3 seats. It's wrapped real cool, you know. We could get you fill it up with Amazon supplies and you just go give it away in the community. I'm like, what? I'm like not thinking it's official. Like it's like what's the catch? You know what I'm saying? So when they call me, they come and bring the bus. They just want to have lunch and meet with me. And then they was like, you think you could get rid of some stuff? I said, yeah, and I give you, this is like Saturday, they come in Monday. But this is what we do. We do outreach. Like I always believe like God is gonna check the motive of your heart. They're just
giving y'all resources like toiletries and just stuff for the community.
Whatever like Amazon. So it's a lot some of it is returns. Probably like 10% of an 18-wheeler might be returns, but most of it is overstock. So whatever, you know, they got such a volume of things coming. Now they only have a certain capacity that they're able to keep in those warehouses. So whenever this other shipment comes, this is overstock. So then they'll get it to they got a warehouse in Indiana. So the only thing that is the freight, getting the freight to bring that over there and then come back to us, you know. But they got so many investors that they're able to start these kids centers to where like when we started the kids center, we had 7 trucks. Now you're going to get scooters, little inflatable houses, you know, sometimes laptops, 3D printers, you know, weed eaters, pressure washers, you know, computer PCs sometimes.
And they're giving you guys all this stuff to bless the community.
All this stuff to bless the community. So what we do, the kids centers are real cool because it's teaching them. So the kids get to come in, have a dignified shopping experience for free, right? So they get to come in and pick 2 items, one for themselves and the other item they're encouraged to pick for a friend or family. So it's teaching them it's better to give them the receipt, but not just telling them, putting them in a position to activate that principle. Because we know it is, but you know, when you don't have and you stealing it, it's like you harboring whatever you can get. You don't know how good it feels to be able to give. You know, so I believe that's going to break generational curses, and that's just going to have generosity. And the vision is for good community, right? So it's like, you know, we call it the hood. Because the devil has taken neighbor out of neighborhood. You call it the hood, it becomes cutthroat. So we on a mission to restore the neighbor back to the hood, because we're here to love our neighbors, and when we love our neighbors, it restores neighborhood, and that potentially will shift the climate. You know?
Come on, man.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. And then they also give us the thing where we fill the bus up, and I'll just pull up like project to project. I'll pull up, let the word go forward, and then I'll give the stuff out. You know, the stuff is just bait. I let them know, look, this stuff is going to break one day. But what we want to give you will sustain. And it's been fruitful, man. People will show up to get something, but then they'll leave with the Holy Spirit. You know?
Come on. Yeah. Where can they find out more about you, Pastor Andy, about One Accord Church and all this amazing stuff you guys are doing in New Orleans?
You could just www.oneaccordministries.net. You could Google Andy Rebirth. I just dropped another project called A Cloud of Witnesses. Got a lot of people on there. 1K Few, Canton Jones, some people with Kingdom. I got a lot of people on there. Andy Rebirth. You Google Andy Rebirth, everything pops up. The church, again, is www.oneaccordministries.net. If they want to know more about the Rebirth Recovery Center, I can send them the plans that we have for that and everything.
Amen. All right. Pastor Andy Rebirth, we out of here, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yo.
Peace. Brand new Occupy Till I Come 60-day devotional has arrived, taking you through the entire narrative of Scripture in 60 days, 35 days in the Old Testament, 25 days in the New Testament, with custom interactive journal prompts for every single day. This is a great way to have a structured devotional, reignite your passion for the Word of God. This is something I wish I had 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was traveling a lot doing music, that could just take me through a general narrative of Scripture and help me be interactive and reflect on what it is that I read. That is why there's a journal built into the devotional with daily prayer request section to also document my prayers. So whether you've been walking with Jesus for a while or you're new to the faith, go to blessgod.shop right now to pick it up. All right, I'll see you over there. After the incredible success of our Bless God prayer journal, many of you guys began to ask for something that had a planner. And so we combined our Bless God prayer journal with a brand new leadership planner that jam-packs the same things from our prayer journal with a planner, goal setting, leadership meeting, and notes. With the next pages, you can see different sections right along here of this leadership planner where you can start out with actionable goals, 12 months of calendar, our original prayer journal prompts, our leadership journal with the proven problem solution framework, and of course, just free write notes. This leadership planner is based off of Matthew 25:14-30, which of course is the parable of the talents. The vision of the planner is to help you make the most of your time, talent, and treasure. Head over to blessgod.shop and get yours.